Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining me. So, I think we need to talk about something that is important. We need to talk about something that is important because we have lots of events happening. Obviously, the market is not doing well. The market is not doing well at all, in fact. Why? Well, because of the interest rates. Why? Because of the tariffs. Why? Because Walmart said that the consumer was getting weak. So now, so now we have a potential of a stagflation, right? We were concerned that somehow maybe we have a slow recession, a slow slowing down the recession, and of course a rise in inflation. I don't think that's what we should be worried about. Let me tell you. I'm going to explain to you what it is that you need to worry about, because that is what I call a black swan. A black swan is essentially a it's essentially an event that no one has thought of yet. It's an event that no one has considered. So, therefore, it's not priced in the market. And if it's not priced in the market, that means that there's more downside to be seen. So, be careful. What am I talking about? Talking about Europe. So, by now, you should have heard that JD Vance went to Europe. And he basically told them, listen, guys, we're not going to be paying for anything anymore. We don't really agree how you run your country. And you are spending about um, 2% of your GDP on defense, while the US is spending 3%. That's not fair. It's time for you to spend more money on your own defense. And of course, all these countries, France, Germany, are not having the greatest of time in terms of the economy. And therefore, now what we're having is them complaining a little bit about the US. They're saying, hey, what's going on? Why is this happening to me? Why am I having to pay 3% what I never have to pay before? That's the question, right? So, what is the problem? The problem with them right now is that they should have listened to the goal. Okay. So, what is the main issue? Well, the main issue is this: Europe is losing track. Europe is on its way out. Why do I say that? Well, don't take my word for it. Take the goal. The goal said in the 60s. Well, he didn't actually say it, but he implied it, that eventually the Americans will be leaving. Okay. And the goal never really liked the idea of belonging to NATO. The goal really didn't get along he didn't really get along with the US, believe it or not. The goal was quite independent. The goal wanted to be very much all for friends. Now, what am I saying all that to you? Well, if we lose Europe, then we got ourselves a major stock market crash. So you need to watch that situation very carefully. Okay. What's happening this week? Next week, the French president, Emmanuel Macron, let me show you what's going on with this guy. Okay. Emmanuel Macron is going to be going to the US, right? And his message to Trump: you can't be weak in the face of Putin. Now, last week, the French president went, put together a colloque of other Europeans. Listen to me. This, you may not all grasp all the finale of all this, but be careful. So he put together a group in Europe last week where there were about 8 countries, even though there's like almost 30 countries in European. But England, even though they're not part of the European Union, they showed up. Italy showed up. They were like an hour late. She was like an hour late. Germany was there. A bunch of other countries, Poland, but not the countries that face Russia. Just to give you an idea. So basically, everyone was there. So they show up and they said, "This is not right. This can't be happening. We are got to do something." Now you have to understand that when we talk about Europe, what is Europe? Europe is not really a country. Europe is a group of shop owners. Basically, they're doing business with each other. Do they really protect each other? I think altogether, maybe they've got 80,000 soldiers. Russia's got 300. Ukraine had more. The US, forget. So, of course, you're going to say, well, they have the atomic bomb. Really? Do you really think that Europe would use the atomic bomb if Russia starts to move in? Not that I'm saying that Russia is moving in, because obviously the fear with them right now is Russia is going to be moving in. We got to do something. We got to spend some money. Now, of course, they're already indebted as it is. France, forget it. Way, way, way indebted. The most indebted country, and it was supposed to be the top country with Germany, right? And Germany right now is having a huge issue with its election. The current guy got kicked out, so there's some major issue in Europe. Okay, so don't wait until this thing explodes to do something about your portfolio. But right now, there's cracks in this thing, right? So the French president gets all these people together in the Elysee in Paris. They decide they should do something. England, so you know what? Maybe I should send some soldiers over in Ukraine to guarantee the peace or whatever. That's ridiculous. I mean, regardless if you believe what's going on between Ukraine and the US, Putin and Russia, let's put it this way: no one wants, you know, and potential enemy right at your doorsteps, right? Look what we did with Cuba. Okay. So now, yes, that's a fact. He started it, meaning that he invaded it. Yeah, you can't say no to that. But why did he do it? Well, they'll tell you, well, he wants to come across, he wants to invade Europe and Germany and all that. Well, they also said that there were going to be a major war in the Middle East when Israel was starting hitting back, right? So they kicked around Hezbollah, and they kicked around Iran, and I don't know, I didn't see much of anything in terms of a war in the Middle East, right? So let's be reasonable. You have to be careful who you're talking to, what's telling you what their end goal is, okay? But at this point, obviously, nobody wants a war. Everybody's making too much money. Nobody wants a war because then nobody wins. So this French president is going to go to Trump and is going to tell him, listen, listen, my friend, I think you need to, you can't bow down to Putin, right? Because then if you bow down to Putin, what are you going to do against the Chinese? How do you think that conversation is going to go with Trump? Regardless if you know, regardless if you like the man or not. Okay. That's going to be the final nail in the coffin for Europe. They already look like fool. They were made by fool by the vice president. We basically told them, listen, I don't know what you guys are doing over there, but you're way, way um, too radical. Uh, your freedom of speech, of expression is going down a lot because of your radicalism, right? They just closed a TV station in France not too long ago. It's too much. Okay. They didn't like that. Well, you know what? Then spend your own money, but they cannot spend their own money. Okay. There's been calls more and more. I mean, recently the German just elected I mean, not elected, but the current chancellor is gone, and they have a new guy potentially. Let's put it this way: the far right. Okay, if you could say that Trump is kind of a far right kind of guy, but the far right got like 20%. Now, far right historically was like Hitler Youth kind of thing. Not that that's what they do today, but it's a far right, right? They say basically our country for ourselves. Now, you need to understand that the goal at one point, the French president, which a lot of people are quoting right now, in Europe, he himself also was for, let me show what we're talking about, right? That's the goal right here. Okay. The goal right here, right next to the English and the Americans, the Americans really didn't like the goal because the goal only wanted the French with the French people as well. Of course, they couldn't fight against a German for. We're not going to go into that story, but the point is the goal was really. They didn't want the goal. They wanted Petain. Petain was a guy that basically said yes to the German invading. So there was a bit of contentious war. Essentially, he knew and he said that at some point the Americans are going to leave Europe, and this is the time. You need to grow up. You need to be your own person. You need to protect yourself. You need to spend some money on yourself. You need to protect your. And this is important for Europe to find its own because if it does not find its own the way it is, and it starts to split apart, which is quite possible, because France having a tremendous amount of issue, Germany huge amount of issue right now with who's being elected and not. They're gonna have to do some. They're gonna have to get together with the far right, and Europe, France also had the far right issue. So everyone is going the Trump way. And they realize, you know what, this is working. The Trump working, at least for now. I want to protect my people. I want to protect my country. Can they do it? Do they have time to do it? Except that for the US, if you lose Europe, that's going to be a problem. That's going to be a lot of damage. Why? Well, because you're losing a very important trading partner. Is Trump correct in beating them up the way he did by telling them, listen, I'm not spending any more money on you. And by the way, Ukraine, you got to pay me for the stuff that I gave you. And now I want some money for it. Okay. Otherwise, I'm out of this. I'm not protecting you. And of course, Russia is winning. You think that France is going to go and Europe is going to fight over in Russia? It's not going to happen. It is not going to happen. So everybody's pushing their rhetoric, but in the meantime, the market is getting very very nervous. Have you seen some numbers? Have you seen those numbers? Let me show you the latest numbers. I mean, it's scary out there. Look at this. We were down 700 points. We down 700 points on Friday, and we were down another 500 or 600 points the day before. And right now, Asian dip, dollar dip, and after Wall Street sell-off, market wraps. I don't know. It doesn't feel like it's really doing well. And the aftermarket, I mean, look at Tesla. Tesla is down right now 4.6%. This is all red still. Look, look at the market. Look at the market. Look at the market right now. It's all red. Okay. The market is not doing well. So we have some issues happening. We have some concern. We have some concern about the fact that we might end up losing Europe. Oh, is that possible? And of course it's possible. Everything is possible. It's a new world order. It is a new world order. What do I mean by that? I mean the fact that now Europe, we're losing Europe. The US, you know what? Enough was $37 trillion in debt, right? We're going to need to find some of that money back. We need to claw some of that spending that's going all around. The Democrats, unfortunately, do not have a good standing right now for everything else that has happened and that we're discovering every day. So it's all around Trump, which could be a good thing if he's doing the right thing. But if he goes way to the right and it's too much, then it may not be good altogether. Because don't forget, you keep talking tariffs, 25%. You cannot, you cannot tax people that can't afford to pay you. What do I mean by that? Well, I mean, as long as they bring their factories over and they do business, that's great. Suppose they don't. Suppose they decide to fight us and they raise it 25%, they don't coming over. So they're not going to buy your car. We're not going to buy their car. I mean, this is going to be a bit of a mess. And then we're losing Europe. And then the war over there is not completed. That's going to be difficult. I think the world need a leader. Now, can the US become that leader? We shall see. We shall see how these pieces move together. Is Trump making policies or is he making deals? Because he's making deals, that's kind of short-term nature of the event, right? Making you make short-term deals and you get short-term event, but what is the long-term implications? Right. So now French president somehow after creating this thing in Paris last week is going to come to talk to Trump, and he's going to tell Trump what, you know, don't do it. We don't do it. He's getting a deal right now with the Ukrainians. They're going to give him $200-300 billion worth of stuff, even though they're complaining, and he's being harm wrestled. He's giving a bear hug or whatever, and he complain, bitching and moaning. But who's gonna what? Germany's gonna help out, and France gonna help out. Italy. This is not Europe. Is not a country. Europe is a constellation of many countries. It's a bunch of basically a bunch of shop owners, right? Having doing business with each other, but really, it's not a country. In fact, if you see what happened last week when these people came to Paris, first of all, UK was invited. Man, they're technically not part of Europe. And all the countries that border with Russia, they didn't come either. Why not? Well, because they're not, they don't see, they don't have a concern. They should be the one that should be concerned, right? If they think they're going to be, that Russia's going to invade. Right? This is the type of people telling you Russia wants to invade and kill everyone. No, 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 no. If they were concerned, they would have come to that meeting. They didn't show up to that meeting, right? Because they don't want to piss off Trump, which is not a good thing to do right now. He's got all the reins, he's got all the power. Why? But because he's got Congress, he's got the Senate. So there's a lot of things happening right now that you have to be very careful. And my concern is that we are losing Europe. We are losing financially, and now they can't even afford to pay what they owe. How could they potentially even? They're thinking of increasing by to 5% GDP. Where are they going to find the money? So a lot of geopolitical movement. I am not so concerned about a war because nobody wants a war at the end of the day. But I think it's a new world order that is being moved around, shaken, and in the market, unfortunately, does not like. The market does not like uncertainty.